Good morning. Happy Friday, and welcome back to the Sage Sorority. How are we doing, guys? I hope everyone is doing fabulous. I am slightly under the weather, hence the delay in the pod this week, but it is about consistency, not perfection over here. And I always tell you guys, I am living life right alongside you. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to kill myself to get the pod up by Thursday, but I'm committed to doing a full year of episodes, no skips. So I'm like, I'm going to get it up on Friday. So happy Friday. I hope everyone has had an amazing week. As you guys know, I was in Toronto this past week for Thanksgiving. It was amazing. Nice little bit of R&R. And of course, I came back with a cold. But this is what happens when you spend time with toddlers. They give you all the love and hug and kisses and tantrums and germs. So here we are. It's a quickie today, but of course we are continuing with my autumn energy reset series. We are in week 3. This is episode 36. And right now I really want to talk about harvesting what you've planted and letting autumn be a season of results and renewal for all of us. So let's go. So like I said, this is the third part of our autumn reset energy series. The first was really the great lock-in about grounding yourself and finding focus again and not letting autumn be like this weird gap in between winter and summer. The second episode was about the social season. That was last week's episode, and that was about reconnecting intentionally. So if you haven't listened to those pods, definitely do yourself a favor and go back and listen to at least the last 2 weeks so that everything kind of flows together and you understand what's going on in the vibes. And this one is about harvesting what you've planted and about noticing what's working. And if nothing feels like it's working, it's about knowing that it's not too late to start. And that's like the underbelly of a lot of the content that I'll be talking about this month, is that autumn doesn't have to be this weird gap between summer and winter. It can be a really, really good time to lock in and yield benefits that you will be able to coast through come early 2026. Obviously, autumn has a cozy, kind of quiet honesty to it. You know, the leaves are falling, the air is changing. And for some people, things do slow down. I have always said that Q4 is just a busy time for me. December is a huge and busy month in influencer marketing. October and November are really busy months for campaign management. And by the time December rolls around, you're kind of just executing things that you've already discussed. In my freelance work as an executive assistant / chief of staff, this is a busy time as well because most people are really trying to hit their numbers, close their books, and make sure that they finish the year strong. But for some people, it does slow down. And while I'm all about things slowing down and being intentional, I don't want you to have your foot off the gas. And it's the season that shows you the truth, what's thriving, what's fading, what's ready to rest. And I think that that mirrors our lives. Whatever you planted earlier this year, ideas, relationships, habits, whatever, you should be starting to see some results now if you haven't already, for better or for worse, right? For me personally, one of those things have been quite small, but clear results that I've been really grateful for. So in the spring, I really doubled down on my LinkedIn and I optimized my LinkedIn, my headline, my bio. I went through all my kind of roles and made sure that everything was high impact and really spoke to the work that I've done and the wins that I've had. I also started posting a lot more on LinkedIn, posting work-related content for my freelance stuff, as well as things related to the Sage Sorority and getting the show out there. Now, although LinkedIn can be a bit strange because if you don't hit like virality, it's kind of hard to know your impact. And that's an overarching theme with content creation, right? Especially when you're not super big. You can easily feel like you are talking into a black hole. It's something I experience all the time with podcast, with LinkedIn, even on TikTok. And although TikTok, Instagram, you have some sort of number to really wrap your head around, can easily feel like, is this making an impact? And you don't really know. And just because the feedback may be silent doesn't mean you are not impacting people. That is something I've long known being a content creator, but it's something that I think has been really emphasized with the podcast. I will talk to people, even people I know in my life, and they will say, I love the podcast. I try and listen to it whenever I can. But these are not people that have necessarily shared it to their stories or shared it on social. And that doesn't bother me at all because I get it. But you just never know who you're impacting. You never know who you're speaking to, which was so fascinating. Even my own aunt came to me last week and she was like, oh, I listened to the therapy episode and I found it so interesting and so insightful. And it's just like, that's insane. Like, I would never make that connection. So anyways, back to planting seeds and showing up consistently more on LinkedIn, and not necessarily every day. I think with LinkedIn, I was really just focusing on the chunk of the week, which is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and trying to share different content and also contribute to different conversation. I've wrote about my experience, my skills, my point of view, and truly in the last, I would say, 4 weeks, have I started to see a little bit of that effort come back. Warm leads, recruiters, people reaching out who already kind of understand my tone and my work. And that's what I mean by harvest. It's small, but it's just enough to keep me going. Every message inbound I receive or new connection request I receive, it tells me that the work is working, right? And it can be very hard to not get caught up in numbers and not get caught up in very grand gestures. I can go on TikTok every day and see someone who's like, I grew by 10K in a month. I grew by 20K in a month. And you can easily feel like if you don't have those same results, then what you're doing is not working. But the truth is that it's daily reps, it's daily deposits. It's just like going to the gym. The day that you do the reformer Pilates class is not the day that you look in the mirror and see a sculpted arm or a sculpted thigh or whatever, or the day that you drop 30 pounds. It just doesn't work like that. And unfortunately on social, those people can be the loudest. And while what they're telling you is authentic to them, it's not the rule book, right? And that's also okay. What's interesting about this, especially my LinkedIn, is that it didn't come from some massive big strategy. It was more like, okay, this is something that's working for some people and it is a platform that I have. I might as well invest time into it. And if I'm looking for movers and shakers and check signers, because let's be real, when you're creative, freelance, content creation, whatever it is, that's what you're looking for. That's also where they are, right? So go where it's warm. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. The results just came from me being visible and most importantly, being consistent. And that is worth remembering here is that growth rarely looks glamorous. We are in the dip. I am in the dip when it's happening. And the dip is hard. And this is when you want to quit. And this is when it's ugly. And this is when you feel like you're speaking into a black hole. But this is where success is built. Now, some of you might be listening to that and being like, well, girl, I didn't plant anything. I didn't plant anything this year, which I'll be honest, I don't think is true, but I'll take you at your word. Or you're like, well, I've been trying to, and I'm not seeing any results, WTF. And both of those responses are totally okay. Harvest season is not only about collecting your fruit, right? It's also about preparing the soil for what comes next. You can still plant now. You can still plant today. October 17th, the day you're listening to this, hopefully if you're listening to it when it comes out, is just as rich and juicy as any other day to plant and do something for yourself. You can pick one area of your life and tend to it before the year ends. Maybe it's reaching out to someone you've been meaning to connect with. Maybe it's updating your portfolio or your resume. Maybe it's updating your LinkedIn. Maybe it's cleaning up your finances before December hits. Maybe it's going through your Apple subscriptions and getting rid of things that you don't need anymore. Maybe it's creating a small daily habit that your future self will thank you for. That could be journaling. That could be working out. That could be morning affirmations to yourself in the mirror. That could be styling your hair. That could be making an effort in your appearance, whatever it is. We don't want to write off the year just because it's October. Small seeds still grow even late in the season. Another example for me has been community. You guys know I'm really big on this. It's a huge part of the ethos of the Sage Sorority, a huge reason why I started. And it's something that I would be doing if I wasn't online at all. If I was just one of those people with no social presence at all, I would always be looking to expand and enhance my community. It's just something I'm really interested in. I've been doing this for myself, like I said, planting these seeds, really wanting to expand my network in a way that suits my life today and where I'm headed. And I've been part of a few really good WhatsApp groups. Nothing fancy, just groups for women in similar industries, ages, and circles. And some of them are London-based, some of them are global. And it has really yielded benefits. Now, I will say, you will often find people that are part of these groups and they don't contribute. Or worse, they only really contribute when there's an ask. And I'm going to be honest, that is not how you build community. And that is not, it's also not the best way to get ahead if you are in these groups. Contribute to the conversation. You know, whether these are WhatsApp groups, Facebook groups, whatever it is, paid memberships that you're a part of, I implore you to contribute to the conversation. Even casually, it makes a world of a difference. For me personally, it's led to new connections, some referrals and ideas, people thinking of me for opportunities, but also me sharing opportunities that I think are a great fit when there's nothing to gain. Again, it's that harvest energy. And actually tonight I'm going to a mixer hosted by one of the women that's in said groups who's in London for 6 months. Sometimes your results don't come necessarily from content. They come from just having conversations with people. And I want to emphasize this because yes, knowing a lot is important, but what is that old quote? It's not what you know, it's who you know. And fortunately, depending on how you look at it, it is very true. You can get further ahead with a little bit of knowledge and really good connections. We see this time and time again. And unfortunately, putting your head in the sand does not make a martyr out of you. You know what I mean? Like, people don't care if you had to claw your way up. And also clawing your way up and not knowing how to find help, how to give help, and how to ask for help actually just really makes you bitter, because by the time you hit your destination, you have a chip on your shoulder about everything you had to do to get there. And I know that because I can even speak to that in my own life. So I'm telling you guys, if you don't have the time to physically get out there, make sure you're getting out there digitally. You're all spending time on your phones. Let's just be real. We are. And most of you listening spend at least an hour on your phone per day, just dicking around. So get in those conversations, get in those groups, contribute. And then when you have your ask, it'll be well received and well worth it. Okay, so we love a little audit here. I think the last time we talked about an audit was the friendship audit, which is definitely one of my highest episodes, by the way. So go ahead and listen to that if you haven't. But if you want to check in with yourself, do a quick little audit, right? Here are 3 really easy questions to ask yourself this week or this month. So what has grown in your life, positively grown? What is still growing? And what maybe needs a little replanting? Write it down if you can. It doesn't have to be deep and super introspective and existential. It just has to be honest. Maybe you started the year feeling a little bit stuck and now you feel a little bit more at peace. Maybe you ended a friendship that didn't align. That's also growth too, right? Making hard decisions is also growth. Sometimes the right decision is a hard one. These are real things. Maybe you finally stopped saying yes to things you didn't want to do. Maybe you pushed yourself out of your boundary in an aspect of your life. Maybe you committed to fitness even though you didn't really, quote unquote, have the time. All of these things count. And if something didn't work out this year, or you didn't hit the mark like you thought you would, I encourage you to learn from it and also jot that down. We're not punishing ourselves here, right? We're just acknowledging maybe where we fell short and how right now, because we're not waiting until the new year, how right now we can begin those habits. Pruning, in keeping with the harvest theme, is part of the process. Not every idea and relationship or opportunity is meant to bloom right away. And sometimes you are only supposed to move forward with those things to realize that they are not for you, and you can cut your losses and move to something else. It's just like, not every man is going to be your husband, and nor should you even have that mentality. But sometimes that guy leads you to the next step in your life, the next chapter in your life, the next person in your life. And maybe it's about going through that experience to further prune and define what it is you want for yourself. One thing I always tell my friends when it comes to dating and just getting out there, that sometimes they're like, oh, well, I don't really feel like it, which is fair. You shouldn't force things. But also, sometimes he's not your guy, but you might meet your guy through him. I really believe that. And I think that if you're at home most of the time, or if you don't really have that much of a network, I just don't think a drink or a coffee or a dinner is super harmful. Sometimes he's not your guy, but sometimes you might meet your guy through him. So don't shut things down. Pruning is part of the process. Your bloom is on its way. You just have to stay the course. So once you've done your audit, I do want to encourage you on some gentle steps forward. So before the year wraps, and honestly, I'm going to challenge you, I would say before this month wraps, think about one thing you can plant or one thing you can finish. Send that email, apply for that job, join the gym, book the class, yada, yada, yada. We know. You don't need to do everything. You just have to start one thing, right? But this is also a good time to close loops, right? Finish that project, send that invoice, cancel that subscription, clear your desktop, clear your cloud storage, make space for what's coming and what's next. You don't have to rush into a new year, new me mindset in January. You can start that process of feeling grounded and clear and ready for the next right now. And if you're feeling a little stuck and maybe you need a little bit of help, a really good book recommendation, I think, is The Mountain Is You by Brianna Waste. It's a good read if you're in that space where you know what you want, but you feel a little stuck. It helps you see where you might be in your own way and it's very direct. I love her writing, but it's always very compassionate. If you want something maybe a little bit more reflective, you guys know I'm reading 4,000 Weeks by Oliver Burkeman. It's another great one. This one's more like philosophical, existential. Obviously, it talks about time, patience, and letting go of the illusion of perfect productivity. Either book will meet you right where you are, but I would highly recommend either of those. So that's today's episode, guys. The Great Lock-In has grounded us. The social season reconnects us. And this week is about recognizing what's working, what's not, and giving yourself permission to plant again or make a new path. You still have time. The ground is still fertile. Trust me. Start small and nurture what matters in your life. Summer bodies are made in the winter, as they say. I know some people hate that quote, but I think it's pretty effective. And remember, chips make chunks. Your consistency is all that matters. Whatever you didn't do today, shake it off, do it tomorrow. Start small and build. Everything compounds in life, good or bad. Don't forget that. Thank you for listening. I love you guys so much. Me and my sniffly nose need to go get ready for my event, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to have a cheeky glass of wine, even though you're not supposed to do that when you're sick, but I don't care because I'm an adult and I'm exercising my free will. So I will talk to you guys next Thursday. I'm going to be a good girl and get back to you on your Thirsty Thursday for the next part of our Autumn Energy series. Have a beautiful day and have an incredible weekend. I will talk to you next week. Love you. Bye.